identifying that the Monkey King roaming wasn't as successful in the previous game as they maybe would have liked, just based on the strength of LFY's lanes. You know, he tried roaming up towards top, did get the 1 kill with the Slark on the Batrider, but other than that, relatively quiet game from him on the whole. So, alright. Sand King, slightly more reliable, you know, a more reliable, longer duration stun in a lot of ways. Good synergy, of course, with the Warlock, so keeping this theme of having enough AoE teamfight, hopefully, to deal with the LFY aggression. Though, as we saw in the previous game, a 5-man lineup, even with worse teamfight, that gets off to a better start. Once you're 10k net worth ahead, the teamfight disadvantage just disappears in the face of your farm. You've got BKBs, you've got enough survivability, you've got your levels, and so, you know, even in that one fight where the supports died, they just popped their BKBs and they still made it an even fight overall. So, alright, LFY, looks like it's going to be a lifestealer this game for Monet instead of the Troll Warlord, so probably looking for a little bit of a lifestealer bomb somewhere in the lineup, though again, that, you know, there are different ways to accomplish that. If Vici Gaming want to ban the Afu Nyx Assassin, I don't think that would be a bad idea here at all. It is certainly a good hero with the Lifestealer. Maybe they ban, like, Batrider and Nyx Assassin, but then they have to be thinking back to the series yesterday and think, okay, what did LFY pick yesterday? What do we need to be worried about? Because, what did they grab? They picked a Tide in one of their games yesterday. They also didn't mind picking the Abaddon or the Omni Knight, so that could also be an option. But alright, Vici. Just gonna get rid of the Slardar. Certainly a good combo with the Lifestealer. I think that's a pretty sensible ban. Will the Afu hate train continue? And the Weaver ban is interesting. Maybe LFY feeling like they're not gonna have enough lockdown for that hero. They certainly do not have enough right now, and Kunkka actually ends up being banned out. I have been talking as if the Sand King is going to be position 4 this game. That's not necessarily guaranteed. If Vici really wanted to, they could put him position 3 in the off lane, especially with a little bit of help from the Warlock, and then they could grab themselves another position 4, which could also end up being a deny pick against LFY and put some more pressure on Afu. But I don't know if they want to take like a position 4 Nyx Assassin or something here. So maybe they just take their actual offlaner. I wouldn't be shocked to see them pick like the Omni or the Abaddon, but maybe they're worried that that's a little bit too slow of a hero, depending on what cores they're going to be going for. I mean, Omni not awful against the Lifestealer, so that could be decent. Abaddon also, you know, not terrible. Just having ways to get out of the open wounds is always a good start up against Mr. Lifestealer. But could be tough for the Abaddon up against the CM and the Lifestealer, because you get frostbitten maybe, then you dispel that, and then the open wounds happens, and then things just get kind of ugly after that. So, okay. Vici Gaming taking a lot of time to consider what their pick is going to be here. It is certainly a very important pick. They're not eliminated from the tournament if they get knocked down now, but the lower bracket is not a very safe place to be, at least as far as MDL is concerned. And alright, Vici just going to go for a pretty classic counter to the Lifestealer. They pick up the Ursa. So LFY, how are they going to kite this? What is the plan to disengage? Alright, well, they just grabbed themselves a Batrider. Not a bad pickup at all for isolating the Ursa, and even though it was played against some decent counter initiation the previous game, the Warlock and the Monkey King, Bat still managed to have a pretty good impact, so maybe he'll be alright this game as well. Does once again have the backup of the Crystal Maiden, so that's going to help out his farm speed, making his way through the jungle, spamming the Sticky, spamming the Firefly. As Vici, alright, taking a page from the LFY playbook, are going to be going for Tide. Not a bad laning hero at all against the Lifestealer, can put some good pressure on, might get some help from the Warlock. That's going to leave Vici with the opportunity to get a completely uncontested last pick for their mid lane for Ori, which is good news. And LFY probably just going to take their secondary support here, whatever that may end up being. It's like not an awful Rubik game, but I don't know if that's really the kind of hero that they want for Afu. I feel like he really just plays these melee position 4 supports, which are so popular right now. So I think it would be not necessarily weird to pick him a standard kind of range support, but would be a little bit out of character. So Vici, what do they ban? What are they worried about? All right, we're gonna Lina pick up. So could be support, could be mid. Not awful against the Ursa necessarily, but you do need to be careful of his ultimate, of course. Good at bursting the Tidehunter, which is definitely very, very important against Tide. You know, when you're playing as Tide, you're normally playing as if, oh, I'm invulnerable, there's nothing that anyone can do about me. But LFY drop a Laguna Blade on him, he's got the Lifestealer hitting him with Rage on, and all of a sudden Tide might not have the opportunity to get a very valuable Ravage off before he dies. So that's going to be tough. I like the Lina pickup as well. It's a little bit of a mix-up from LFY, so depending on what the Vici Gaming last pick is, they can kind of make the decision about what's, you know, who they're putting mid. Though I guess that's only going to be applicable if they pick another potential mid/support in this position, as we do just have a Storm Spirit ban. Night Stalker once again going to be the ban from Vici. Man, they have so much team fight between the Sand King, the Warlock, and the Tide. I guess LFY could have picked something like a Silencer here as well. Could have been decent, but instead, just going to go for the Disruptor. Not a ton of setup for it this game, but it is definitely good at killing off the Tide, and I think that's just the approach that LFY are taking here. If you pick the Silencer, then you can only ignore the Tide. You can't kill him. With the Disruptor, you can just stick him inside of the Static Storm, and it doesn't matter how many times he Kraken shells. He's still gonna be unable to cast his Ravage. So LFY are gonna be actively looking for the Tide in these fights. They do have to be careful about him picking up a Force Staff or a Blink Dagger to help out with his positioning. And if they're focusing the Tide, then they won't be able to focus the Sand King or the Warlock, as Vici just gonna go all in on the team fight somewhat. They grab themselves a Medusa. I think this is a decent matchup against the Lina on mid. They both have pretty good spam on the wave, and it is also a pretty good hero to have against the Lifestealers. So, alright, it was Vici winning fast games yesterday and losing the long ones, but so far the trend has been reversed with LFY winning a pretty fast game for game 1 in this MDL series. So maybe Vici will complete the reversal, and they're going to be the ones to win the long game here in game number 2. Or they're just going to get run over. That could also very well happen, you know. The Sand King and the Warlock is a relatively greedy support duo, so there's going to be some waiting involved for them to come online. The Tidehunter, as discussed, is not necessarily guaranteed to win them teamfights this game against the Disruptor, though Afu going to have slightly fewer shenanigans to pull this game compared to what he's been doing in recent games. Maybe he can still get a Courier Snipe or something with some boots, but certainly more difficult than it is on some of the heroes that he's more comfortable with. So let's get ourselves into the game over on the... Wait, this is the LFY side. We've got DDC on the Crystal Maiden. Afu is going to be your Disruptor. That means this is... Man, I keep forgetting this. Okay, so we got Inflame on the Bat, Super on the Lina, and finally Monet, of course, on the Lifestealer. And over on the Vici Gaming side, currently trailing 1 game in this best of 3 series for the MDL China Qualifier upper bracket. We will have ourselves a Chuan on the Warlock. We've got Ori on the Medusa. End is going to be on Ursa, actually in some trouble here, getting caught by a 4-man rotation and the kinetic field. Going to turn around and try and do a little bit of damage as he jukes through the trees, and that Chuan heal is helping to keep him up. Couple more auto attacks coming through. Close. Now the Burrow Strike coming in. Lina just has the nuke, does not have a stun. Kinetic field once again, and looks like Sand King not going to survive, as LFY still get the first blood in the end. And what was Sand King expecting there? That they would be able to get those kills? Alright. Good start for the Lina. It was Ori's time to shine yesterday on the Lina, so maybe Super can get a little bit of revenge here with this excellent start. They're even going to drive them away from their bottom bounty rune, it looks like. So 3 bounty runes for the Dire. And, yeah, Bat off to a great little start. Already has his Windblaze picked up. 200 gold worth of progress towards the boots. Looks like he is going to be getting a little bit of help from the Disruptor, who also has some boots of speed picked up, but won't be able to start spamming the Thunderstrike right away. Dusa, what she got? Just a Wraith Band picked up so far. They got a nice Dire Observer Ward to give the Lina vision all the way through the first 6 minutes or so of this lane. And Tide actually picking up an Iron Talon, interestingly enough. Not really the full contest the lane build, but I mean, he's got the Shrine. And looks like it's in fact Ursa who's going to be putting pressure on the Lifestealer here already with some boots first picked up. So it's just poor old Chuan down here at bottom alone for the time being. Looks like Sand King going to be joining him in just a second. As how is mid lane going? Attempted deny, but Super very keen on getting that CS. Even going to help set up Ori here for a couple of last hits under the tower, it looks like. Why are you helping him so much here, Super? And yeah, alright. Tide into the jungle. This is a reasonably fast jungle hero, so not really worth watching here in the early game. Crystal Maiden TPing up towards top. No, not Crystal Maiden TPing, actually Disruptor TPing up towards top. As Ursa might be in a little bit of danger here. There is a level 2 on the Lifestealer, but Ursa's pretty fast. Kinetic Field gonna force him to redirect his path over into the trees. And he's done with his top lane, it looks like, for now, as he does just TP down bottom. So hasn't really found that much static time to farm, but still not doing terribly in terms of the last hits. Batrider coming in pretty aggressively with the Firefly. 3 stacks up, but Ursa with the boots will be able to outrun him easily. And now the Sand King's coming over with the Burrow Strike. I think Batrider overextending just a little bit here. And one more swipe's going to do it. Not the first blood, but still a very nice kill for the Ursa. Medusa dropping quite low here on mid. Somewhat baiting the mana shield perhaps, but Lina ready to to cast a Dragon Slave. Is going for the double Null Talisman build, so kind of your lane domination build that we have been seeing out of more and more mid laners recently. Even if they're not going for Veil. Like, I don't think Lina's going to buy Veil, but people still just picking up double Null to win the lane. And win the lane he is. 15-5 versus the 8-0, now 9-0 Medusa. Disruptor waiting with his double damage. Hoping that the courier is going to be making its way out. And poor old Oski, none the wiser. 10 seconds until he could be upgraded into a flying courier. And actually, Afu gonna lose his nerve as he loses the double damage. And instead just focus on heading over here to, well, not steal a bounty rune. He's on the wrong minute for that. I don't know what he was hoping for there. Alright, Ursa just with some phase boots so far. Tidehunter still straight up jungling, despite the fact that there's nobody up here in the top lane. So Lifestealer pretty happy with his lot in life. I think maybe was expecting to get pressured a little bit more by the Tide, but just not happening for the time being. A bit of Thunderstrike harassment on mid. Medusa just picking up a Ring of Aquila early on here, so no sign of a bottle or anything like that. And yeah, Super really getting his revenge so far. Can he get this CS? Nope. No chance. Batrider once again with the Firefly, but already losing a little bit of health. Might need to be careful, though Sand King is all the way over on the other side of the map. Radiant Vision a little bit better for the time being, as looks like Crystal Maiden hasn't really moved around to put down any wards just yet. They do come running over, looking towards the Warlock, and they keep him inside of the kinetic field. Nope, Chuan does manage to step outside of it and keep on running, but Batrider, similar to game 1, finding fantastic farms so far. 23 CS, gonna pick up the bounty rune as well. His game's looking pretty solid. I guess part of that comes down to the supports that the Radiant team have. The Warlock is not particularly adept at zoning out the Batrider, and most safe laners can't really push him out by themselves. You know, a lot of the Warlock, his help in lane is assisting his carry and trading hits, but it's not really something that Batrider does. That's not how his laning stage works. So Bat just going to be backing himself up. Medusa continuing to spam out with the Mystic Snake, so it's spam versus spam on the mid lane. Lina does have a haste turn ready to go. Medusa, nice positioning, forcing the Lina to decide, do you want to nuke me or do you want to nuke the wave? Because I'm not going to let you do both. And it's closing the gap on the CS a little bit, but Super's still doing very nicely. Looks like he's going to be going for the Bloodstone Rush this game. Disruptor with a 1-1-1 running around the corner looking for the Ursa. We'll be able to glimpse him back in just a second. Back into the kinetic field. They've got the Firefly ready to go as well. He's going to turn around and just do damage to the Bat, but he's burning down to the Firefly. Does manage to get out of it now. The Thunderstrike keeping the vision, and one last auto attack is going to do it. Bat Rider does drift into tower range just for a second, but he's going to be okay. Alright. Looking like LFY getting off to the... Well, expect that they're going to do a little bit better at the start here. It's mostly about whether or not Vici Gaming's 5-on-5 team fight is going to somehow win them the game. Is Sanking finding farm? Well, this will find a little bit while the Ursa's dead, but... Lots and lots of Radiant Vision over on this side trying to spot the rotation. So they do know that DDC is making his way over here. Sees the Observer Ward up on the high ground, but maybe realizing that it's a very, very low duration ob, so not going to stress about it too much. Medusa does just pick up the second point in the Mana Shield early on. Has some boots now as well. Raindrop to help with the spam. Is he dropping his Ring of Aquila before? No. Alright, so the one thing that you can do with Mystic Snake, and you can do it with treads and, you know, any stat item, but is use it the same way that you would a mango or something like that. So you throw it out and then you try and drop your mana pool to as low as it possibly can be. So like putting your Ring of Aquila on the ground before the Mystic Snake returns and then picking it up right away. So there is some room for some extra mana efficiency on this hero, but not really that important at the moment. Is it going to get anything else? Nope, just hitting the Lina as this 4-man rotation makes its way down bottom. Very early rotation from Monet, but they're keen to take a tier 1 and they know that the enemy team doesn't really have any tower damage. And that's actually going to be, I think, a consistent theme of this Vici Gaming lineup. Like, look at their team. They just don't hit buildings. Ursa does not hit buildings. Tide does not hit buildings. Medusa can kind of hit buildings eventually, but for the time being, it's not going to happen. And so that means that they are going to be building up an early net worth lead just off of these early towers. I mean, yeah, the best that the Ursa and the Tide can do is drag the waves away and spam them down.
Gold and sweet.
So, alright. Lina, yep. Close to her Arcane Boots, but not there just yet. Net worth top 3 across the board is going to be LFY right now, so building up to almost a 3k net worth advantage, 2k experience. Medusa going to cop a little bit more harassment here over at mid. Ursa is just going for a Morbid Mask right now, so no sign of a Blink Dagger or anything like that. Tide probably going to go for a mech. Man, the mech is pretty standard, but I feel like this could even just be a game to rush Blink Dagger, honestly. Oh, Sanking's dead bottom. Man, that was just Lifestealer and Crystal Maiden. And like not even any ultis invested, they just auto-attacked him to death. Alright. And all Chuan can do is watch. Alright, it's his turn to try and soak a little bit of his level 6, but both of their supports trailing behind in terms of the overall farm. SK level 3, in fact. Not a fun situation for him. Alpha is actually almost level 6. Well, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Still has more than half to go, but like I talked about, that Static Storm going to be an important part of dealing with the Tide this game, which is I think why the Blink Dagger might be a good idea. Just blink into the backlines, hopefully kill the 2 supports, or maybe the Bat or the Lina instantly. The Lina not going to be that easy to bring down. She will be pretty tanky with her Bloodstone. 2-man smoke making its way over towards top. They do have a Ravage ready to use. I'm looking for some kills up here. They don't know that the Bat Rider is just around the corner, but he might just get caught in this line of fire as well. Can they get a 2-man Burrow Strike off? They do manage to find it. The Ravage following up, and Disruptor will not be able to cast any spells. Bat Rider trying to escape with his drum, heading over the trees, but still getting slowed down. And Vici will be able to find 2 kills here. Very important for them. Get that little bit of extra farm on the Ursa. He just grabbed that Morbid Mask, but already up to 1,000 gold. So nice for him. Tide, also 1,000 gold. We'll see what his item decision is going to be soon. As Chuan just waiting another 10 seconds so that he can pick up this tome and grab his level 6. Lifestealer relishing in all of this space down bottom, keeping the pressure up. Doesn't have a TP scroll in his inventory right now, which is maybe a little bit scary for him, but he's probably just going to push this out, or maybe there's one coming over on the courier. Actually, just going for a Midas. Alright. Monet feeling like his game is going well enough to go for a slightly greedier item. I guess he's going to be waiting for his Lina a little bit here as well. And Bat, despite the death, still 900 gold towards the Blink. They're looking for the jump in over mid. They're going to pop that drum. Medusa does have the ultimate available. They've got the Static Storm Kinetic Field. They do manage to glimpse her back into it. She's lost all of her mana so far, and one more nuke should do it. They do have the Chaotic Offering dropped out, but they've already lost the Medusa. Lina, can she escape? There is a Gush slowing her down. Burrow Strike finishing her off as Crystal Maiden does turn things around a little bit with the Frostbite. So 1 for 1 on the mid lane so far. They've managed to find the Lifestealer over on the other side of the fight, but Ursa just getting slowed down by the open wounds. And after all is said and done, it's just a 1 for 1. Nobody was farming in the meantime, so I think insanely even for the two teams. Though, what looks like working out just slightly better in terms of the numbers for Team Radiant, since they are actually the ones that are a little bit behind on the metrics right now. And slowing down the game, taking an even fight is always going to be good for Vici at this stage, because their lineup is very much playing for the late game. Do they guaranteed win in the late game? I think, you know, they are certainly the better lineup in terms of, you know, ultra late. They've just got so much AoE teamfight. Though if they've lost enough buildings, it could be that you know, LFY are able to shift gears a little bit into some kind of split push and pick off strategy. But I mean, they've only lost the one tier 1 tower so far, so things kind of looking on like they're on track for them. Medusa's going to be going for a Dragon Lance here. I don't think this item is that amazing on Medusa, necessarily. The Yasha certainly farms faster. Hurricane Pike's not awful and will be pretty good against the Lifestealer this game, so I think that's maybe part of why he goes for it here. Oh, Sand King gonna get scouted up. They've got the Static Storm, they've used the lasso. Stacking things a little bit, but they've got more than enough damage as the courier was making its way over. Who was trying to grab something there? Oh, not actually sure. Warlock just wanted his arcane boots, but alright. Couldn't quite manage to shop them up. So nice pick off. Wait, did Sand King died, right? No, yeah, he definitely died. Alright, he's just already alive again. Mid lane also getting pressured. I thought I was losing my mind for a second. I was like, why am I looking at Sand King? But alright. Tower down. Vici again have some problems pushing. Nice Laguna Blade dodge with the Enrage. Well, not a dodge, but absorbing the majority of it. Tidehunter running forward. He's got the Ravage ready to go. Disruptor kind of forcing him back. They desperately want this tier 1, but there is a glyph. And now the glimpse is going to come in. Do they really want to glimpse the Tide? They don't really have the burst damage to finish him just yet, but his team hasn't been able to back him up. They take the tier 1. He has gone for the hood, helping him out a little bit, and now the Medusa ultimate helping to turn things. Lifestealer just running for it right now. It looks like LFY will get out without any casualties. They're still poking and prodding, looking for the opportunity. Tide can't really run in. Lina's pretty low on mana, but does have at least one more nuke. And with the 4 stacks of Sticky, they're bringing down the Ursa. No Enrage available. Looks like he will just get ticked down. The Lifestealer runs in, does get hit by the Chaotic Offering. They are going to wait for the Burrow Strike with the Sand King, but a nice infest away. And Batrider will escort him back to safety. And now a glimpse coming back in onto Chuan. A couple more auto attacks should do it. He does manage to get the Fatal Bonds off, but that's about it. As they will actually grab a double kill for the Bat. That's his Blink Dagger now completed. And LFY, can they press this on any further and maybe take this tier 1 tower themselves? Looks like Lina may be a little bit low on mana, but that problem's going to be solved relatively soon. With her Bloodstone coming up. Disruptor going to be going back for a Midas this game. Crystal Maiden can do the majority of the supporting as Ursa jumps in with his Blink, but it's easily turned around by the Frostbite and the Light Strike Array, so it is Sister Act in the mid lane, keeping one another alive. And his Lifestealer does now have his armlet finished, so maybe once the infest is back up, we'll see a Lifestealer bomb making its way around with this, well, supposedly unscouted Blink Dagger, but I think Bat did just head past a couple of wards there, so Looks like they're aware of the situation. Chuan coming over, looking to put some more vision down. Well, actually looking to do a little bit of dewarding. Little does he know that the Dire Observer Ward is actually back behind where their tier 1 tower used to be. And we've got a lasso over on the other side, but Bat, where is he dragging him to? Teammates are not nearby, and that just ends up being almost a wasted lasso. Was he just lassoing to save himself? Doesn't really look like it. Lassoed the Warlock. Maybe wanted to drag him onto the cliff or something like that, since he doesn't have a TP scroll. But alright, so they have the Infest now, but now they've got no lasso for 60 seconds. Ravage is still up, so Vici Gaming going to be going for a 4-man smoke down towards the bottom side of the map where the Disruptor is just heading over into the trees. Afu playing it pretty safe. Radiant Scan waiting for him back at the tier 1 tower, but little do they know he's actually just hiding in the trees for the time being. Are they going to get revealed as they come past the tower here? Does he have a TP scroll ready to go? He does, but he gets jumped on. He gets the glimpse back. Needs to find a nice little hidey hole to TP out. Have they spotted him? I don't think they did. Actually, looks like they had first strike going in, but they don't realize that he's actually just run a little bit further down. Does manage to buy up his Hand of Midas recipe as he waits for some additional assistance down here, and it's going to be a big surprise when he comes popping out of the trees with the Static Storm. There's no Chaotic Offering for 10 seconds to get the glimpse back. Ursa in big trouble, going to try for the TP out. Will he be successful? No, the Light Strike Array is there just at the very last second. They bring him down. Chuan also going to try for the TP out. Alright, this time around, Vici will be able to disengage, but Ursa dead. That's the most farmed hero on the Radiant side of the map, so nice big 500 gold swing. DDC going to come in, just steal a little bit more farm from the Radiant jungle, as Dusa is now going to be working towards the Manta style. So, the Manta illusions are not going to live very long this game, but I mean, there is some pretty important stuff that he can potentially dodge, get himself out of a frostbite, and get out of an open wounds. So, I don't think it's the worst decision. If you're super Gosu, dodge a glimpse. Alright. That is the tier 2 dead. That should be the Bloodstone on the Lina. It was already up for that last kill. So 13 charges now for Super. Over on the top side of the map, Tide is just working towards his Blink Dagger right now. Needs another 150 gold to go. As Warlock still just farming. How's the Sand King Blink going? Actually 2.1k gold. So his Blink's going to be up around the same time as the Tide Hunter, and maybe that's the tool that they need to be able to start taking these fights. Monet, really a big fan of this SNY, which I find a little bit curious. I mean, it makes sense on the Troll. I think it's a really good item on Troll. I'm not so sure about buying it on Lifestealer. Wouldn't mind seeing like a Deso this game. I think AC going to be very important for him against the Ursa. Is anyone buying a Solar Crest? That's probably pretty important. Yeah, well, of course somebody's buying a Solar Crest. DDC working towards that right now with the Medallion in his inventory. Lina just going to go for some Boots of Travel. So pretty all-out greed build from Super. Nope, going to get a little bit greedy for the Arcane Rune here perhaps. Actually managed to dodge the Burrow Strike. So it looks like he's actually going to be okay. That was the reveal on both of these Blink Daggers, and it's not going to find either kill. Glimpse back into the Static Storm. Afu completely on point with his glimpses so far this game. And with SK dead, I don't know if they can defend this mid tower. There's no glyph available. It is only a 20-second respawn. Ursa's just working on a BKB right now. And alright, looks like Static Storm down. The call is actually going to be from LFY to continue to play patient and just back up. Monet still finding some more farm with his Hand of Midas. As they will. No, okay, maybe they are just going to go for a gank. Infest Bomb primed. Smoking in what they hope is an area without Radiant Vision, and they were in fact correct. They would love to steal this Roshan away from the Ursa, but not really able to do so. 5-man smoke from Vici Gaming making its way across. Who will be revealed first? Looks like they will spot them from the high ground, but they jump in, they get the Burst Strike onto the 2 supports, and they are gone. Anchor Smash from the Tide is all that they need to finish the Crystal Maiden kill, so they still hold the Ravage in reserve. And now they will be able to head into the pit. Batrider scouting it out a little bit with the sticky, so Ursa will be more easy to kite in this upcoming engagement. Medusa just standing her ground, but they really need the Ursa to keep on hitting. Can't afford to have these Fury stacks, these Fury swipe stacks reset. He is keeping them up. 20 stacks, back and forth. Can they actually take this fight? A little bit of damage onto the Tide. Lina needing to be careful. The Burrow Strike jumps in. They got the Chaotic Offering as well, locking them down. But Motail jumping out of the Batrider was actually able to snatch the Aegis of the Immortal. And now Ursa, with this Enrage wearing off, will get stunned up. The Lina in a little bit of trouble, getting punched by the Golem as the Static Storm Kinetic Field catches onto 3 from Afu, making huge plays. Now they get the Freezing Field as well from DDC, completely enabled by his teammate. And alright. Quick little taunt from the Lifestealer as he even survives with the Aegis. They only lose the Batrider at the end of the day. And an absolutely huge team fight is going to let them move forward and take this tier 1 tower at mid. There will be a glyph, but I don't know, that may have been a little bit premature since LFY might even be able to go for 2. They know that there's no Ravage. They do need to be a little bit cautious of the Sand King, who's just hiding back here, but they know roughly where he is. They did get this Observer Ward down. Lina gonna do a little bit more damage. Afu waiting up here on the high ground. Did he manage to find him? Alright, he does move forward into vision now. Warlock with the Fatal Bond's gonna pull the aggro, but Motail manning up. Oh. Glyph gonna get popped. Actually, yeah, what did I say? Premature Glyph. Of course it gets reset by killing the tier 1 tower. Anyway. Easy 2 towers. 8.6k the net worth advantage now in LFY's favor, and I guess this is where Vici just have to hope and pray and believe in the strength of their high ground. They do have a fairly high level Medusa, but as we've seen, Tide can find it a little bit difficult to move around in these fights. Sand King, we're yet to even see the epicenter go off, despite having had the blink for a couple of minutes now, and Lifestealer, SNY, now going back for the AC. The Disruptor with his Midas is going to be able to pick up a Blink Dagger, so if you thought that Static Storm in the previous fight was beautiful, you just wait. This little bit of extra positioning definitely going to help out. He's even got the bonus 100 cast range from the talent, so Afu can start the fight from over here and still get a Static Storm in like this area. It's pretty crazy stuff. Going to be very difficult to jump him. You know, there's going to be the front line of the Lifestealer, and then there's the back line with the Crystal Maiden and the Lina, and then there's the super back line with the Afu Blink Dagger initiation. They do manage to jump in with the silence onto the Ursa. Couldn't even get his ulti off. Still waiting to finish this BKB, but going to be waiting even longer after that death. Meanwhile, bottom, they got the lasso onto the Medusa, dragging her back into the tower. Lina was just top for that kill, but a quick boot to travel down towards bottom as they find the number 1 and number 2 pickoffs on Vici and LFY. They hold a grudge. They got eliminated from the summit yesterday by Vici, and they have not forgotten. And they are back with a vengeance. Lifestealer going to come over here and grab his Hyperstone. Feeling pretty... To me, this says a lot about the state of the game right now. Partially, this is because he has the Aegis, but he's buying the Hyperstone over buying the plate mail. Of course, Hyperstone farms faster and whatnot, but he is up against an Ursa. Tidehunter just getting completely demolished over here in the trees. Doesn't know what he's supposed to do. It's going to get healed up a little bit by the Warlock, and actually still surviving a little bit longer. Afu, very low. Blink forward from the Sand King, but doesn't auto-attack. Doesn't have the Burrow Strike cooldown either, and actually Afu survives on a sliver of HP somehow. Sand King not realizing his own cooldowns there. That Chuan also getting knocked back. Tide managing to blink inside of the base, but they've lost 2. Warlock's dead for 30 seconds. This tier 2 tower is going to be next, and this is the last outer tower for Vici Gaming. Medusa will do her best to hold onto the high ground, but the Manta Style isn't even completed yet. And Sand King's actually still over here in the trees. Gets scouted now. Sandstorm buying him a couple more seconds, but no burrow, no blink, no chance. And DDC going to grab that kill, and Vici Gaming just an absolute shambles. What can they do? Now they're going to put the lasso onto the Tide. It's enough to drag him outside of the base. He's got the Kraken Shell now, but they've still got plenty of chain disable. Medusa heading forward onto the front lines. Will do some good work with the Stone Gaze, but now they get the glimpse back on the Tide. Trying to disengage with the Chaotic Offering, but everyone's just way too tanky. The Fatal Bond's actually going to work and doing a decent amount of damage. DDC praying that his teammates aren't going to take any damage now. Medusa trying to man fight, but won't be able to do anything. And that's just going to be the GG called, as LFY will take this series in extremely convincing 2-0 fashion. Looks like we will get a final epicenter with Sand King jumping in, but LFY too strong. Vici looked amazing against them yesterday. That series was extremely cut and dry, but with that, LFY gonna knock them down to the lower bracket. They still have a chance at qualifying, of course. There's 2 MDL China qualifier spots available, but LFY looking scary. So we'll see if they're gonna be facing up against their sister team, LGD.Proper, in the upper bracket, or if IGV will be able to move forward and face up against them. I believe that match, so the IGV versus LGD match is going to be played well, the scheduled start time is an hour and a half. I don't know if that's going to be moved forward at all. I would guess probably not, so there will probably be about an hour and a half wait, during which time I will hopefully be able to switch over and improve the stream quality a little bit. But the upper bracket final, when's that going to be? Let's have a look here. Match number 11. That is going to be played on Saturday. So tomorrow is actually going to be... Today's all upper bracket, tomorrow is all lower bracket, and then we have a mix. Actually, no mix. It's Saturday is just the upper bracket final, and then we get the rest of the lower bracket on Sunday. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll hopefully catch you here for LGD versus IGV in about an hour's time, or hour and a half. Hope you're enjoying the coverage of MDL, and I'll see you soon.